Everybody, welcome to Visual Communications Media. My name is Adam Rozeski. It's a pleasure to see each and every one of you. I hope everybody's having a great week. Welcome to term 2 of the fall quarter, and you get to be with me for the next 5.5 weeks. And you're probably wondering, why am I in this class called Visual Communication? What's the reasoning behind it? I know visuals, I see them, I watch movies, I watch videos. I get it. There's a lot of things about this. But in reality, you realize that no matter what industry you're in, even though you might have some idea what visuals are built specifically for people to understand and use systems, images, and communicate in more ways than one. And it's only going to even get stronger as our technology goes even further. So I'm really glad you get to be with me this course, and I can't wait to really talk about visuals and how they're built and how you can use visuals in your own industry, no matter where you go, to really communicate to the people that you need to, because you have to realize a lot of times it's not about what you think, it's about how you can communicate your ideas and your thoughts through other people. And that doesn't mean just by designing specific systems or a website or some type of artistic post or anything. It could mean developing a chart system for your patients, maybe come up with some analytical system that reads better, or some presentation that reads great for CEOs. It doesn't matter either way. We communicate in visuals all the time, no matter what industry you're in. And I can't wait to really bring this to you in more ways than one. So just a little bit about me. You don't have to call me Professor Rozeski or anything. My last name's kind of tough anyway, so Adam works great. Just a little background on myself. I started all sorts of odd jobs after I left Penn State, after I tore my knee out. I was trying to make it to the pros as a goaltender, and it didn't work, but it's okay. I ended up working for my dad in the airlines, became a really good supervisor through there, but I wanted to get into video games some way because I was a huge gamer growing up. I used to do competitive esports games before esports was a thing back in the early 2000s with Gran Turismo 3, Star Wars Battlefront, Battlefront 2, multiple MMOs. They used to be tied to like EverQuest, Star Wars Galaxies, World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings Online. I was a huge PvE and PvP tank, and really got really great at it. But I wanted to learn more about video games and learn about them from a design aspect and how people build games. So I ended up going to UCF in Full Sail. I got my bachelor's in entertainment business, and I double mastered in project management and game design. And I worked for a bunch of studios. I started off in GP Games, then I worked at Call of Duty, Black Ops 2 for Activision as a QA tester. Then I worked all the way up into EA. I became a usability analyst and a usability designer, and a UX designer, focusing on visuals and building menu systems for people and how to communicate to people that I'm not there to teach how to play video games. So I had to figure out a way to do it just using visuals to train people how to play my game, or to play the game that I worked on a lot of times. And I worked for a lot of different games like Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, worked for Mass Effect, I worked on Dragon Age Inquisition. I was the guy who designed tutorials. I worked on a ton of different Maddens and NCAAs and FIFAs, and then I worked on VR, Among Us. I bounced around. I've done a lot of different games and a lot of different studios. I helped start studios to help understand visuals in more ways than one. I've worked in over 40 games in my career, and then not only that, I worked on about 30 military projects as well, working with VR systems for the military, trying to teach people how to use fighter jets and different cargo planes. So pretty cool concept. However, that's just a little bit about me. I'm a producer now, and I run my own consultant company. Been a software producer for years, and probably 10, 15 years now, ever since I've been in the industry. And now I teach on the side as well. So I teach college, I also teach high school, along with running my consultant company. So it's been going good. Spent a lot more time with my family than when I used to be a senior director of project management and production. So good times. But figured we'd talk about some of the assignments that we have and a lot of different aspects that we have going on in visual communication. So in class for lecture, I'll go over all your assignments. I give you examples of where they'll be located at. I'll show you how to use the team site. I'll show you how to use everything that's available to you on lecture for Thursday, so keep that in mind. But there's two types of assignments that I mainly have, three if you include the live lecture announcement. So I have discussions. Always do initial post on Tuesday, reply post Saturday, except for week 1. Those will be both on Saturday since we don't have Tuesdays, so everything will be on Saturday this week. Finally, to turn in anything for discussions is going to be December 19th, so keep that in mind. Also, with my discussions, please don't give me one-sentence answers. I really want to see at least 2 paragraphs for each of your posts, so 4 total, 4 to 5 sentences a piece. That would be great. So explain your thoughts, explain your process, because we're going to talk a lot about analytical stuff, and where you're going to need to back up your answers with examples and details, and that's really going to help you out. Now, we also have written assignments. These are going to be your main core assignments for each week. Some of them are written papers for about 2 to 3 pages a piece in APA format, and some of them are presentations or blog posts. I'll give you the instructions. I'll give you examples on how to do these assignments during lecture, so that way you know what's going on. They're always going to be due by the end of the night, Sunday night. The final post will be December 19th, which will be a Friday night, so just keep that in mind. Now, I always do live lectures each week on Monday, except for this week. It'll be on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. We don't have Monday this week. It just starts on a Wednesday, so you'll get lecture on Thursday this week. But then ever since then, it'll be on Mondays no matter what. It's okay. I get it. I have 3 jobs myself and everything. I understand time may be a little tough, especially if you have kids and what's going on. If you cannot make that time, do not worry. I have recordings. They're always posted by the end of the night that night, so that way you have the lecture for the entire week. Please make sure to look at the recording and watch it, because I'm going to ask specific questions in the lecture assignment, and I'm going to go over how to record your lecture assignments during lecture itself for the first week, so you know how to go about that, because they are tied to your attendance. This is the one thing I'm not lenient on, is because you need to tie these in each week, because there'll be an automatic 0 if you turn them in by the end of the night Sunday. Now, I do get their emergencies and everything. You have to contact me ahead of time to make sure if you're not going to be able to turn in a live lecture assignment, so that way you don't get hit with a 0 and everything, because these are pass-fail. You need to make sure that these are turned in on time no matter what, because they're tied to your attendance. That's the big thing. It's the only thing that I'm not lenient on that aspect, but I'll go over it during lecture and all the different things on Thursday if you have any questions about that. That'd be great. Other than that, just some quick assignments and expectations. Late assignments, except for week 1, they're 5% of the grade each day they're late. Once they hit 7 days, it's automatic 0. I'm kind of leaning on the 5% each day, but if they hit 7 days, they automatically go to 0. So please keep in mind to turn in your work. That'd be great. I also offer unlimited turn-ins, and if you do bad on an assignment, I will allow you to redo that assignment so you can get it for a better grade. That's pretty much it. So the more effort you put in, the more it's going to be great. Also, in our discussion posts and a lot of our assignments, we give feedback, and in class too, we have a lot of open feedback, and we review a lot of different things. So what I would love you to do is be thorough on your discussion posts and be respectful, because we're going to ask for feedback on a lot of different aspects. And also, please make sure to give me more than 1 sentence. It's huge. Other than that, well, guys, just hope you find some rules to discover and have some fun. Hope you get something out of this class. That's what's really important. Other than that, I hope you see everybody for lecture this week on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Do check the announcements for everything. Everything will be located on there. And that's all I got. See y'all for Thursday. Be safe. It's a pleasure meeting each and every one of you. Bye-bye.